Okay, good morning. This is our first day of our project line drawing about a person or painting or both. The fun part about today is that you get to feel the different papers, see what or learn what papers are most appropriate for different drawing and painting materials. Pick the size for your paper and cut it down on the paper cutter. Learn how to use the paper cutter if you've never used it before, and just kind of get that down. You might not even get anything drawn out or painted out on your paper today. I'd rather have you kind of like feel things out first. Unless you've already had the opportunity to experiment with materials, then feel free to dive right in. It's kind of up to you. This also makes it neat, since today is an experimentation day. Feel free to come in outside of class, or if you have a lab, there's no specific homework for this week. Just, you know, see how everyone's doing and know that we will have a week and a half to finish these. So this is one of my demos. So this is the composition that I'm going to use for this paper. Now, first thing that you want to know is the paper that you're going to use. And in a video, you can't feel this, right? So this is something that we're going to do. I'm going to show the folks that are in here today, like where the paper is, where to find it, how to choose it. So we're going to do that after this video. This is going to be a demonstration of how to mix an acrylic grayscale and how to apply a watercolor wash to show depth. Because if we remember, that's on our rubric, right? First thing that you're going to need is you're going to need to know the difference between watercolor and acrylic. Most of us do, but in this classroom, this is what the acrylic paint looks like, and I'll have everything out on the out on the counter, because we're not using the full rainbow gamut of colors. So I'll just have black and white out, and this is our watercolor. We just need black. We don't need white watercolor because the paper is white. So what you're going to do is take some black, put it in a clean container. We're painting an AP class, so please make sure that you have a clean, brand new container for watercolor. Or if it's tomorrow, feel free to grab, or please, I prefer you to grab black watercolor that's already been sitting out, because it won't be contaminated with any other colors, because we're only using black watercolor. Next thing, you're going to dump just a little bit, you could do this at the sink, but just a few drops of water. You want to keep a separate container of water with you. Okay. I'm going to do an overall wash. I love starting my compositions with this because it's quick. You can just get it down, let it dry overnight, and then you automatically have a background for your painting. Really quick. Use the side of your paper. Notice that this isn't proportionate to your sketchbook, you can use the side to just test the darkness. And I know that I want my watercolor darker than that. So, just means I added too much water. Okay, I'm going to stir it up. And you want to make sure that it's pretty homogeneous. You don't want to have, otherwise you'll get like these weird streaks. Oops. Sometimes that'll happen too, but I actually think that's kind of cool. Okay. Now this is going to be cut off, just this line right here, because as I said, it wasn't quite proportionate to my sketchbook. I'm going to redo this, and I'm going to draw the viewer's eye to the center.
This was?
Yeah.
We can't actually see what you're doing on the screen.
Thank you. Okay, there we go. Maybe I should turn down the light. Sorry, guys. All right. here we go. So I'm going to replicate this on here. You can pre-draw with a pencil too if you want, but just very, very lightly. I'm using my copy packet knowledge to figure out where this kind of starts and realizing that this is going to come right across the center. I'm going to move that out of the picture plane so it's not in the way. Okay. I'm going to move kind of quickly. And the neat thing is, you can, I'll put blow dryers in the back, so you can blow dry this and add more. Our watercolor paper can take a beating. Being that it's art survey and thinking that there was going to be like kind of a lot of waste, last year I took out the inexpensive watercolor paper for this project, thinking like, well, that way people can start over, you know. And it just didn't hold the water as well. So the thing is, I can't like wait, or there'll be like lines, so I'm going to blend this very quickly so I don't get like weird like dry lines. Okay, so then I'm going to make the corner darker. By putting more coats down in the corner. Any streaks I just want to blend out. This is like a random little like hair caught in there. There we go. Okay. And I actually, I can't believe how lucky I was. My splatter from earlier, look at it. It's actually in my picture plane. Okay, folks, that never happens. So, you know, I got lucky. And so this is kind of neat because now I'm starting to think, like, maybe I will, with this area here, I'll keep this just the value that it is and continue to work darker from the base, you know, from here up. Maybe get this, maybe I'll get this stripe in here in a darker material. Fun thing about watercolor, anything, any other material can go right on top. Makes a great base because anything can go on top. Okay? So, I'll blend that in. This is a great brush for this. You're allowed to use a brand new brush for this. And then, just please wash the brushes really well. Okay. I'm going to blend this into. Okay. I want these sharper. So see how you can just go back in. Next thing I'm going to show you guys is how to make an acrylic wash. I mean an acrylic scale. So I'm going to need black and white. I'm going to flip this over for ease. I'm going to do the same exact thing, the same shape, just so you can like compare the difference. Now this is getting all mushed. I don't really care. It's fine. On the back, I think it'll still be enough information for you to see the difference. Acrylic paint. Why would I choose it? Because it's opaque. However, everything does not go on top of acrylic paint. Best thing to do is think acrylic is plastic. So I have something called China markers that look great on top of acrylic paint. It's like a wax crayon. Other than that, not too much really adheres to acrylic paint, so that's something you're going to want to keep in mind. I won't be demonstrating the dry materials because the dry materials you just apply, or the markers, should say the drawing materials. You can just try out for yourself after you see what the papers are like and pick a paper. It's the best way to kind of figure that out. Okay, so I am going to make a scale. Other thing about acrylic is it can't be used from day to day. So you just use as much as you're going to need today, or use and then say, does anyone need some acrylic paint? And then we'll share, and then honestly by the next time I have an art survey class, it's going to be dry. They're not going to be able to use it. It's fine. We don't get super expensive paint, but just keep that in mind when you're portioning out, depending on how much surface you have, not to use too much. Okay, fun. What you're going to do is create a scale. I'm going to start with straight white, and you can slowly mix. For this, because it's opaque, I'm definitely going to write, just going to draw down what I want. I'm going to look at this, use what I learned about copy pack. Want it to be, there we go. Cool. I actually like that better than my acrylic, my watercolor lines. Probably because I didn't pre-draw it and it was the first time I drew today. You're going to use this thing, plastic, it's called a palette knife. And I'm going to slowly go light to dark, and I'm going to make this darker. And then I think I'm going to do something with the negative space around these squares, and then make the squares lighter and lighter as they hit the center. That way I'll get some contrast. Does that make sense? Okay, check out how much I use every step. That's not a lot of paint, right? I'm going to mix it with my palette knife. Move that off to the side. I'm going to get a little bit on my background paper, it's fine. Oh, please, if you're painting, please use newspaper. Newspaper is behind, I'm going to say behind Max because it's first period, but on the low shelf on the side of the room. Now, I just used the same amount and added to it, so I just used a speck, literally a speck of black. Get a step darker, overlap a little. You can add water. You can add water to it if you want to help you blend. You do not have to use watercolor paper for acrylic. I wouldn't use any thin paper for any type of paint, but you can use like the marker paper and then use markers with it if you want. I'm just going to tell you right now, any big areas, you know, I would suggest that you use this. Like, say you're, you want to use markers, grayscale markers. I would suggest that you use this. Oh, and I'm sorry, permanent markers would go on top of this as well as China markers. Because otherwise, it's not so much fun painting a big area with, or drawing on a big area with marker. I mean, it's kind of like, it's like you're sitting there forever, like coloring in an area with marker. That's no fun. And then a lot of students have an issue with their edges. Please use a flat paintbrush like this. I bought a whole bunch of new ones for this year, and really edge out so it's not, You don't want it like a chalky outline or like a real messy outline. So, you can do that. Okay, I'm going to make this a little darker. Go back in. Mix it with a palette knife. So say I painted in these other ones, I'm just going to show you guys darker. Try to move along kind of quickly because I know it's like Monday morning and this could be like, you know, watching paint dry. And say that I painted this part in, okay, and then I'm going to go really dark with this. Darker, darker. Darker. Kicking it over towards the black. Are you required to do a grayscale? No. Does it help you with your depth? Yes. Could you show depth without doing the grayscale? Yes, if your drawing is strong enough. But, you know, it always helps. Even if your drawing's really strong, it'll still help. See how that's getting darker? Can you guys see it? And then, that's not, you can't see it on the overhead, but it's not actually straight black. But this is where I would, this is going to be my darkest point right here, and then some of these squares maybe I'd make white or like lighter, and then go like light to dark as I got over here, might be really cool, because value or light to dark also can help you with your depth. Alright? So that's it for today. Have a good day.